All right, so let's start by talking about Hunter Biden, because I do think this is very interesting. Now, the president's son goes on this felony trial. This is just the first of two. The second will take place in September, and it's the more serious, I think, tax charges, though not the most serious ones that could have been brought against him, because this so-called special counsel David Weiss, who's the weirdest special counsel ever, he's really more on Hunter's side than he is on the government's, let the statute of limitations expire. Anyway, now we go on these gun charges. There are 3 felonies that accuse him of lying to get the gun in the first 2 charges, and then actually illegally possessing the gun in the 3rd charge. And I wonder what you think about the fact that it's a Delaware jury, it's federal court, but the Bidens are beloved there, right? I mean, they're just rock stars throughout the tiny state of Delaware. And it's a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney acting as special counsel, but this guy is completely Delaware and Biden friendly. And Hunter Biden's going to get a jury of all Delawareans, right? Which is good for him, unlike Trump getting a whole jury of New Yorkers. So how do you see this case as we kick it off today with jury selection?
It's different from the Trump case in that the gun crime is really cut and dry. It's clear he did it.
I thought you were going to say it is real.
That too.
I think for Trump, the matter of the jury, he had a hostile jury, and the jury pool was important because the crime was difficult to understand. A lot of it was a matter of interpretation. Having a hostile jury hurt him, and that is probably what that hinged on. The Hunter Biden gun crime, I'm not sure. Like, the jury would have to be really favorably disposed to Hunter Biden because this is a clear-cut crime. Everyone knows he did it. He's guilty.
Yeah. And what they're saying now, we'll hear his defense, that he's going to, we expect, take issue with the form, which reads, are you a drug user, illegal drug user, or an addict? And that he may try to argue, at the moment I filled out that form, I had gone to rehab. And so for that 2-hour period, I was not either of those things.
Worst 2 hours of his life. Yeah.
It's going to be hard for him to contend with the contemporaneous messages from his, I guess it's not a mistress, but his sister-in-law, who he was sleeping with, Beau Biden's widow, who was sending him messages while she had taken the gun and disposed of it behind a supermarket, an upscale supermarket somewhere, and said, this is dangerous. I'm concerned. You're on drugs. You need to check yourself in. And she will be called as a witness, as will his ex-wife, Kathleen Buell, to speak to his state of mind at the time. It's pretty hard to contend with those emails.
He
the
can
text
say,
messages, I guess.
I resumed the use right after filling out the form. That's what caused her concern. But there's just no way a jury's going to buy.
No, you're going to need the most gullible jury on the face of the earth, or politically motivated. And it's true. I totally agree with you. Like, David Weiss is technically a Trump-appointed prosecutor, but my understanding from talking to our same people, like our friends who understand this, is that he is a Republican, in the loosest sense of the term, but only somebody Biden-friendly would have been approved of by Delaware senators.
He seems more like a Democrat in Republican clothing.
Yeah.
Well, I am really interested in how they're able to muddy the waters, because some of the reporting to the conversation we were just having is that Abby Lowell, the Hunter Biden has a great legal team.
Yep.
They're going to try to talk about addiction issues from the reporting that we know.
Ugh.
Addiction issues, they're trying to play the sympathy card, the emotion card. The president himself, as you mentioned earlier, Megyn, coming out and saying what he's going to say with a Delaware jury. I don't know. I actually feel like there might be a chance you can muddy the waters pretty well with that.
Unfortunately, I think you're right. I think what Eliana said is true. He's guilty. That seems obvious. We'll listen to the defense. But on paper, if this is what he's going to argue, didn't technically fall within those definitions, he's toast, or should be. Mm-hmm. But we're kind of looking at a similar situation to the one Trump faced, in that if politics drives the verdict, he actually could get acquitted, right? Even though he should be convicted.
Anything's possible, but I think we should talk about one other difference that is, I think, interesting to watch, is that the judge in the Trump case was a partisan, a Biden donor, and did a lot to make that trial friendly to the prosecution. The judge in this case was the one who would not sign off on the plea deal.
That's right.
She is taking, pardon my language, she is taking no shit from the prosecution. And Abby Lowell is both a skilled defense attorney and skilled in spinning this. You know, he's skilled in the DC PR wars. And I don't think he's done very well. Like, people are not being spun by what these charges are. But this judge is not having it.
I know. I love her. She's
Mary
the one
Ellen
who caught
Norica.
them. Norica,
Yeah.
right? They caught. She caught Hunter Biden. She's the one who caught Hunter Biden and David Weiss, Hunter's prosecutor, working together to let all of this go for a misdemeanor charge and bury all of it. The tax charges, the most serious, anything having to do with his Burisma deal. That's how the original plea deal was written, and she was the one who was like, wait, what's in here? Why am I agreeing to this? And she caught them red-handed. So I liked the judge, but it's a weird situation where only the judge wants it to be like a fair trial for the prosecution.
Yeah. It is hard to take this trial seriously with Weiss like as the prosecution after that.
Right.
I mean, the media has not talked about this at all, basically. Like, there was some decent reporting while it happened, but this should be a huge part of the narrative. I had actually even forgotten about it. It wasn't even front of mind for me that the judge had to do that last summer because it just slipped into the background of the whole conversation. But that's a huge theme of this trial.
They
no
tried to
question
pull a
about
fast
it.
one on her, and she was like, oh no.
She said,
see what
I
you
will
did.
not be a rubber stamp, were her words. I'm not rubber stamping this.
She already excluded the expert witness that Hunter tried to get in through his lawyer, Abby Lowell, who was, to your point, Eliana, like an addiction specialist. Who's going to walk us through? I mean, who hasn't known an addict? Most of us have known an addict or had an addict in the family. That's just how pervasive this problem is. And virtually none of them go out and buy a gun that's illegal and lie on the forms to get it. Like, that's not a thing that is caused by addiction, like the need to have a gun, buy a gun, and lie on the form. So you can't blame this on...
When their father's about to run for president.
Yes.
And there are serious risks. You're putting your family members at serious reputational and physical risk. That is what Hallie Biden was saying. Like,
That's right.
well, I'm afraid.
And his response
afraid.
in those text messages was...
Screw you.
And also Beau Biden, her recently demised husband, well, he had a gun in his glove box. It's like, well, he was the Attorney General of Delaware and not a drug addict.
Right.
Like, what? You're in a totally different field. But he admits. He doesn't say I didn't have it. Like, all the admissions are in these texts. And in his book, Emily, where he wrote extensively about his drug use, including right around this time.
Right. It's right around this time, although I can still see them trying to wiggle out of it legally because it wasn't the 2 hours that he filled out the form or whatever. But actually, the point that Hallie Biden is a
Look
witness.
at the picture my team has put up. That's him with his crack pipe. Although now he says it wasn't a crack pipe.
It's just a pipe.
It was some other. What kind of pipe is that? I don't know.
Oh, boy.
Well,
It was
this
a
is-
meth pipe, and I didn't do meth. That's
Oh,
going to
it
be
was a
his
meth pipe?
He was posing. I told my audience, my old pal Kelly McGinnis and I, we were thick as thieves in high school, and we went out. We had a bunch of people over. Anyway, like a couple of morons, we took pictures of all the teenagers in our house drinking like wine coolers and beer, and then we left the pictures on the counter like a couple of numbskulls. Anyway,
I thought you were going to be like, well, we just had a crazy night. We did some meth. Took some pictures of
my
it.
friend Kelly was like, do you think we could tell your mom? Because she found the picture that we were just posing with funny beer pictures for the... Now, that's what Hunter Biden's going to argue.
Yeah.
It was we were just posing with the funny meth pipe with my
this
eyes
is, like,
closed.
totally separate to everything, but you know, one of our great reporters at Beacon made this comment that Hunter has a bizarre predilection to photograph every
he's so gross.
moment of his life. Like, why do these photographs exist? It's really strange, and we haven't even gotten to this child support case.
Yeah.
I mean, this
Talk about
man
that.
is not an upstanding citizen.
It's a good point, though. He's like a Kardashian in that way. Like, he never... I don't think he's ever
camera's
taken his
never
penis
off.
out of his pants
No.
without turning on the camera. He's really proud of it. And you know what? Shouldn't be. But anyway, I digress. But seriously, he loves taking pictures of himself with young girls, himself with the crack pipe, the meth pipe, you name the pipe
It's
and the
so
drugs.
exhibitionistic.
The gun?
Yeah.
Let's not even talk about, like, there's no question he had the gun. And so then the whole affair with the ex-wife, not the ex-wife, the widow.
sister-in-law,
Right.
yeah.
The widow
Right.
of Beau Biden. I will tell you that is like the one piece of this whole story that makes me feel some sympathy for those involved, because it's like, I think everybody involved loved Beau Biden, and I think Beau Biden might have been the best Biden. I think we lost the best Biden there was. And that to me seems like an obvious expression of grief by his widow. Like she was obviously very lonely and sad, and somehow, Hunter Biden meanders over in his drug-induced haze. And I just feel bad for her because she got sucked into this relationship with the worst Biden, arguably. And
well, actually, there are a lot of options.
And then next thing you know, she's having to call the FBI on him, which is what happened. She found the gun. She disposed of it near this school, but everybody leads with that. But I don't think she was trying to get a child in danger. She was trying to get rid of the gun. She called the FBI, told them where she put it. They found it, and he went off on her. He was so angry with her that she sold him out to the feds. And never did he say, I didn't do any of this, I'm not guilty. He was just like, you effed me. Nice family.
Lovely people.
So tell us about the child support. Turns out he's even more of a derelict than we knew.
Right. The child support case is something that we learned through a report in Axios over the weekend, has been playing out in the background over the past several years. And we knew that during the time that Hunter was drug-addled and yet apparently selling his public relations and legal services for millions of dollars to foreign clients, he owed upwards of $30,000 a month in alimony to his ex-wife, Kathleen Buell. And I believe I'm right when I say only paid it once since 2017. I may not be totally accurate on that, so check me.
This is
but
what
he owes her upwards of $2 million.
Citing that reporting, Jim Garrity, National Review, says as follows. In January 2021, just after Biden's inauguration, a D.C. court found Hunter was in breach of his divorce agreement and owed Kathleen Buell more than $1.7 million in spousal support, legal fees, and interest since their 2017 divorce. The divorce agreement called for Hunter to pay Buell $37,000 a month plus 50% of anything he made, over $875,000 annually. I mean, this guy's raking in dough,
So
as
now
you all
it's
know.
almost upwards of $2.6 million, I think.
He did not pay the additional spousal support he owed in 17 and 18, when he earned $2.4 million and $2.1 million, respectively, according to the court documents. As a result, the court determined he owed Buell $1.1 million plus 6% interest for 17 and 18. He also largely stopped paying her monthly alimony after she filed her lawsuit in June of 19, adding to his unpaid debts. I mean, he's just a loser, this guy. And yet all you hear from the press is drug-addled. What drug-addled loser is pulling in $2.1 million? Like, there's something nefarious afoot, but he's not using any of that money to support his family, his wife. According to these papers, it's all going up his nose. Being in debt is like sinking in quicksand. You're trapped. You feel helpless. And the harder you struggle, the deeper in debt you can get. If you are trapped in debt, let me throw you a lifeline. Done with Debt. Done with Debt has created a new strategy with one goal in mind: to get you out of debt quickly and permanently. Done with Debt stands between you and your bill collectors. Then they negotiate a plan to end your debt permanently, without bankruptcy and without loans. They can get you out of debt quickly and put more cash in your pocket monthly. But you need to contact Done with Debt right away because some debt solutions expire. It's easy to get started. Just go to donewithdebt.com and get a free consultation. You have nothing to lose. Talk with one of their experts about a strategy that will end your debt faster and easier than you thought possible. Visit donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.